My Girl Life podcast is sponsored by Glamour Boutique. Glamour Boutique is the leading name in cross-dressing fashion and lifestyle with a physical location in New Jersey and, of course, their famous website. Be sure to use your My Girl Life discount code MGL15. And listen, I know they have your best interests at heart, so check them out. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of My Girl Life podcast. I'm very excited about my guest today, Mia Anima. I've known Mia for several years from our community events, and we've had some time to share a little bit, but I wanted to have her tell her story here on the podcast because I think it's very relatable in that she dresses, but her wife does not know about it. And I'm sure a lot of people out there could identify that. So I asked her if she could share her story. Welcome to the show, Mia.
Thanks, Maddie. I'm super happy to be, one of your guests.
Well, just to set the stage here, like I said, Mia, you're married, but your wife doesn't know about your dressing, correct?
Correct.
And so before we kind of get into that, I want to just get into the background of, just kind of where you grew up, what your childhood was like, and then we'll talk about the dressing and kind of go from there. Does that sound good?
Perfect.
So with that being said, where did you grow up?
So I grew up in a really small town in New Mexico. It's down by the Texas border. And it was very, very conservative. It was, very, very religious, very conservative, very, people from there know. People from Texas know.
Small town, yeah.
Small town. Everybody knew everybody's business. And when I turned 18, I was able to leave. So I left and I moved to California. I moved to Sacramento and I absolutely love it here. A little bit about my history. I've dressed my whole life. I've always been very closeted and very, very secretive.
What was your childhood like growing up?
Well, I grew up in a nice kind of middle class family.
Siblings?
Yeah, I have two brothers and a sister.
Okay.
And I had a really nice, normal childhood. But I grew up in a time where, people being gay was starting to become accepted, but trans didn't have, there was no words for it.
Yeah.
And so when I didn't know what I was, I just thought I was broken. I thought I was weird, a freak.
The only one in the whole world that was doing that?
Yeah. And I thought it was an abomination. I just didn't know what I was. And so I really hid it. I had a really, traumatic experience when I was in high school. I don't know if you want to get into stories, but
sure.
When I was in high school, I was at a school dance and I saw a bunch of cute little girls floating around the quarterback and they're kind of, flirting with him and he's doing things for them. He's going and getting them punch and he's, adhering to all their needs and everything. And so I thought, oh my God, that's so cute. And I want to do that so bad. And so, I kind of threw a hip out and batted my eyes and held up my little empty glass of punch and quickly walked over and started to scream at me, "What the fuck are you doing? What is going on? I'm not gay."
You're in boy mode, right?
Yeah, I was
before
in boy
your
mode.
dress.
Oh, yeah. I didn't share this side of myself. Nobody saw me until about 8 or 9 years ago. Like I always dressed in private. So,
okay.
So this was in high school. And so I was in boy mode and he was about to end my life and some friends had saved me but it really solidified that I had to hide this portion.
Hide it. Yes.
This, whatever it was that wanted to flirt with boys, I needed to bury that and hide it before
So you had those inclinations before the dressing, right? You're experiencing that you like boys. Or did you like the attention the girl was getting and you wanted that attention? Or did you know at that time?
Both. I think more like the attention that the girls were getting and the way they were getting it.
Yep.
Like the flirty nature of the way they moved and talked and acted.
Not to get ahead of ourselves, but I had an episode about gender envy. I don't know if you saw that or read that, but I think that's more common than we think. And I wasn't aware of that term till recently. And I just kind of find myself when I see a woman, yes, would I like to be with her? Of course. But there's a bigger part of me that wants to be her.
Right. Right.
And I find myself envious of the way they carry themselves and kind of the power they have in society and things like that. I think that's maybe what you were experiencing, no?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly that. And I think what that did for me was solidified. I'm two completely different people. I'm a boy when I'm a boy, and when I'm doing my obligations to my family and all of that stuff, then I take that role very seriously, and I'm very immersed in it, and I like it. I enjoy that. But when I'm a girl, I'm 100% girl, and I'm going to flirt. I'm going to, talk about cute things. I mean,
You're just going to be a girl.
I'm just going to be a girl.
What you envision being a girl is like, right?
Yes. Yeah. Well, I try to make sure that I do it in a respectful and authentic way. And I really am. I mean, it's weird because I get gender dysphoria if I'm in my headspace of being Mia. Then if I see myself naked, then I get gender dysphoria. I'm like, I don't need that. I don't want those. I don't.
Because you're still in girl mode in your mind and you're not ready for the boy body.
Yeah. But if I'm in boy mode, it's like, yeah, that's all right.
Interesting.
No problem. Yeah. It runs deep. It runs deep for me separating those two.
Yeah. Interesting. I haven't run into that, but everybody's different. And this is exactly why I love doing these interviews, because I learn so much about everybody. And, we have a lot of overlap with our sisters, if you will, but there's also very unique lanes that we all drive in. And it may not be as unique as you think as we start sharing stories. And people, share that. That's like, I do that too, or I feel that. Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Interesting. So, okay, so you're in a relationship. Obviously, you're married. And you, do you have kids?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And what do you do for a living?
I'm an engineer.
Nice. So you're a smart one.
No, I'm persistent. It's funny because I'm not very good with math, but I'm an engineer, and you don't have to be good at math. I'll just say, it's good. It's a good paying job. No engineers are ever looking for work, right? Doesn't matter how bad the economy gets. It's a good profession. So
good. So you have a good solid foundation. And so I think, I think you might have answered this, but do you have any thoughts of transitioning?
No, because I'm gender fluid. I consider myself gender fluid. When I'm a boy, and I love being a boy. When I'm a girl, and I love being a girl. And I love the two separately, and I love the two equally, and I don't want to. Yeah.
That's a nice balance.
Yeah. And it goes so deep. I mean, I have friends and obligations. So I live 25% of my life as Mia. And that it sounds strange, me having two lives, but I have a whole life as Mia, right? I have friends. I have a whole set of friends. I have weekly, monthly meetings with people. I'm part of organizations. I'm part of support groups. I'm part of different meetups.
You have obligations, you have meetings, you have like our meeting for the podcast. And, that reminds me of, I talked about in earlier episodes about when I first started going out and dressing, I would just go to an LGBTQ club and I wouldn't really talk to anybody. Then I finally, and you felt bad about what you were doing. At least I did, felt guilty. And then you purge and then you go back to it. And eventually I met a friend there, and then she invited me to girls' night out, which was Saturday night. They would have dinner and then they would go to the club and hang out. And so, like you said, all of a sudden I had friends, I had somewhere to be. It made it more real, and it legitimized it to a large degree. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. One of the most powerful moments in my life was when I went to have a makeover, and I got a makeover, and it was the first time anybody had ever seen me, right? It was the first time I came out and I was in front of somebody, and the world didn't
What time frame was this? Like, when was this? How far back?
It was about 8 years ago.
Okay.
I went to a place in San Jose called Carla's. It's just an amazing place where transgender people, when they're first getting started, they have a safe place to go.
Yep, I had one here in Denver.
Yeah. So I went there and I got a makeover. She spun me around in the chair, and she didn't let me see myself before.
Yeah.
And so
The big reveal.
the big reveal, and it was, I'm not kidding. It was the absolute most powerful moment in my life.
Did you
Was
tear up?
Oh God, I lost it. I absolutely
bad.
lost it. And she's like, bitch, do not mess up my makeup. And then she, just patted me on the butt and said, get out there and go to the bar. So I ended up, and then I went and spent the night, night doing some bar hopping. But it was absolutely the most powerful,
Invigorating, exciting, nerve-wracking, right? All those things.
To be seen and to be accepted to a certain degree, but just to be seen. And now I love it. Like, I love that thrill of going out, of, me, when I'm at Wildside, I'm in a bikini down by the pool.
Yeah, you are all in, all in.
Yeah. I'm living my bliss.
It's like you probably had the vision in your mind of what you would look like or wanted to look like. And when you actually see it in the mirror, it's life-changing. David, the owner of Glamour Boutique, talks about the makeovers and the big reveal. And it's his favorite part of what they do is revealing it to the person. And typically they'll tear up. And it kind of reminds me, I'm a songwriter and in a past life. And I would have a song that I've written in your head. You have a vision of what it's going to sound like with the strings and the drums and all the instruments. And then when you go in the studio and have it come out of a pair of speakers, the song that you wrote that's been in your head, now it's real, right?
Yeah.
Very similar. Similar.
Does
that make sense?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Are you out to anybody other than, say, the people in our community? Are you out to anybody in your boys' community, boy life community?
No. And that's part of the secrets of me keeping my lives separate.
Do you have a desire to, or helps you keep things separated in your mind, even if it would be totally okay to tell somebody, and now you're breaking that seal, if you will?
Yeah, I don't want to break the seal. I've had friends who have told me there are loved ones in my life that I wish I could share this experience with, on both sides.
I'm sure.
On both sides. But I haven't, and I will choose not to. I live with this weird reality that if I get outed, my life is going to change. It'll go upside down. I'll have to put it all back together. I'll have to explain a lot of things to a lot of different people. But if I get outed, and I'll deal with it. But I'm choosing not to get outed, and not to get outed and to keep everything separate. In my opinion, you have to keep the two separate, and you can't share your identity with either side. There's only 3 or 4 individuals. There's only 2 individuals that know both of my names and know me in both worlds, but everybody else, they just don't know.
Well, it sounds like that works for you, and that's good. Let me ask you, when you started dressing and even when you did your makeover, did it turn you on sexually?
Wow, that's a loaded question. It opened me up sexual. It didn't.
Okay.
It's not a sexual thing for me, other than in boy mode, I like girls and I like very vanilla sex, right? In girl mode, I like a lot of flavor and a lot of I don't even know what the terms are, but I like boys and girls. I like boys more than girls. I do like, people that have known me know that I've got some friends in some kink communities, and I have tried a lot of things in the kink community, which I've just explored, and it's not me. It's not what I'm going to pursue, but it was interesting.
Sure.
But I would have never done that as a boy. So as Mia and as a girl, I've really, yes, I'm a lot more open.
Do you think Mia just gives your boy mode permission to do the things that you would want to do anyway?
Wow, I didn't expect to be on the couch there, psychiatrist.
There you go. Hey, I charge $250 an hour, so I'll send you a bill after this.
I know, for me personally, in boy mode, just like what I like. I like very simple things. I like jeans and a t-shirt and a, vanilla things in the bedroom. But as Mia, it's, oh my God, I love
I think there's a little part of your boy mode that likes what Mia's doing, but can't bring themselves to do it. But that's for another couch session.
That's another, yes.
I don't think you can afford to go there we'll wait till the next paycheck.
Okay. Yes. But I will tell you, I mean, I love the outfits. I mean, I get into some really flattering outfits, I guess I'll say.
Right.
And some, I do a lot of club hopping. Yes, I do. Anyway.
That's awesome. You do you. Hey, I have 3 rules in my life that guide my life. Am I hurting somebody? Am I hurting myself? And is it illegal? If the answer is no to all 3, then I'm pretty much good to go.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. And of course, I have to decide if I'm hurting somebody else along with them, but I have to decide if I'm hurting myself. And so I have to make those decisions, but we have to make those decisions every day anyway. So just kind of simplified it, those 3 rules. And when you first started dressing, so I take it you never got caught. Or were there some close calls?
There was a lot of close calls, but nobody caught me. No.
Can you remember any of the close calls?
Yeah. Well, always when you're dressing, you think you're, whoever you're sharing a house with, roommates or family or whatever, you think they're out for hours and they were just out for minutes, and they come back and you're
I had a nickel for every time I heard that one.
Yeah. Prancing through the living room in a teddy or something.
Right.
But I never got caught. I got close a few times.
Right. Where did you keep your stuff, or where did you keep your stuff?
Creative.
And then where do you keep your stuff?
Okay. So I used to keep my stuff in like a suitcase or a bag, like a duffel bag or something. Many places I'm pretty handy with tools and stuff. So I would build a box under the water heater or something in the garage, and with a little trap door. I built a cabinet up in my attic where you could just pop through the little door to the attic. And then it just looked like part of the construction of the house, but it was actually a trap door that I could keep 2 suitcases in. I kept it in like secret compartments in my car for the longest time, just many, many different places over the years. And I went through all of that where I would purge and I would be ashamed.
I was just going to ask you. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's left some scars. So now that I've decided.
What were you feeling? What were you feeling when you purged? Was it guilt? Was it, what were you feeling?
Guilt, shame, embarrassment. Like I said, I thought that I was broken. I thought that I was just, I was like, I'm not gay, but I don't understand this. So what am I?
This is before you discovered our community.
Yeah.
And our events and stuff. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then once I actually went to a therapist, and I told her, I said, I'm just wrong. I'm broken. I need you to fix me. I can't figure out why I keep, feel this compulsion to get dressed in girls' clothes. And she goes, well, you should try it. And I'm like, what? She goes, yeah, you should put on some girl clothes, go out and see what happens. And I was like, well, you were supposed to fix me.
Yeah, you were supposed to walk me off the ledge.
Yes. You were supposed to give me a
off
pill
the ledge,
and make this all go away. And then that's when I scheduled that trip to San Jose and go to Carlos. And it did absolutely change my life.
And so you never purged after that?
No, I did not. So after I did that, I was like, yeah, this is something I need to have in my life. I need to find space for it. I need to find an outlet, because it brought me so much peace and joy and fulfillment to just present myself as my authentic female self and be accepted. Sacramento is an amazing place. It's very, very accepting.
Yeah, you're lucky. Yeah.
Yeah. So I get out all the time. Like I've got a running date with a guy that we go every Monday. We go to the local bar and we'll have a drink. I'll have a glass of wine with him after work. Every Thursday, I go to have a drink with the different friends. Every other Saturday, I go out. Every Sunday, I ride my bike in a group. We have a group of queer folk that we all just kind of, there's probably a dozen of us.
Uh-huh.
We go ride every Sunday morning. Sometimes I'll go out with them midweek too.
What does your wife think you're doing when you're going out?
Well, okay, funny. She knows that I'm out riding my bike, but she doesn't know that I change in film to do it.
And she's never asked about the group and who you ride with?
No, no. She just thinks I ride my bike. And she's happy because I come back like, exhausted and happy. And, so she knows that it's good and it's healthy. And so she encourages it.
Do you think she kind of knows where you're going and what you're doing, and she just doesn't want to blow the whole thing up?
Yeah, she doesn't ask too many questions, because she's got a really nice life, right? I mean, as a boy, I'm a very good boy. And I provided a pretty nice life for her. So she's not going to dig too deep. And I respect that. I mean,
Maybe it's a don't ask, don't tell situation.
Well, yes and no. Look, I'm very, very good at my cover stories. I'm very well practiced at it. I'm just very good at it. I don't give her reason to be suspicious. And we do have agreements of me going out. I mean, I don't want to get too much into my personal boy life, but we do have agreements, and there's boundaries on that.
That's part of the cover there.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Have you ever tried, let's go back on the couch for a minute. Do you want to know why you dress? Like, is it gender dysphoria, gender fluidity? Is it just a creative expression? Is it the attention and the entertainment? Is it the only way you like to socialize? I know that's not true.
Yeah.
A way to connect with the gender that interests you. Do you ever want to psychoanalyze it?
I used to want to, but once I got out and started living my life and just experiencing life as a girl, the curiosity of why doesn't matter to me.
It kind of dissipates, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't care why I do it. I found what works for me, and I absolutely love who I am and what I do.
I love that confidence. Good for you. Good for you. Because that helps. Because I don't care how comfortable we are in all this. You have to be pretty confident, and you have to be sure of yourself. And yes, there's times where we question what we're doing. Sometimes I just laugh at myself. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? When we go through and we're getting dressed, and, you're putting the wires and everything together. And sometimes you're like, really? What are you doing? And then 10 seconds later, you're like, off to the bar, off to the club.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And that works. Yeah. I love it. And I have
when you go out, do you typically go to LGBTQ establishments or mainstream establishments, or do you have a preference?
Personally, I prefer the mainstream because, like I said, I'm very fortunate to live in Sacramento, where we're very accepting of queer people, and different expressions of gender and such. Very accepting. So I like to go to the mainstream bars. We do have a very strong and very good, diverse LGBTQ community here, and I do frequent a lot of those bars just so I can frequent the organizations and stuff that I want to support. But personally, I want to go to a mainstream bar and have a guy buy me a drink.
And then flirt with you. Yeah.
Yes.
Because a gay bar they're not interested in femininity. They're interested in masculinity. Yeah.
Exactly. They're not interested in us. And truth be told, we're not really interested in them. We want somebody to treat us like a girl. I don't want to present as a boy in a dress, and I don't want to be treated as a boy in a dress. I want to be treated as a woman. I want my doors held for me. I want the guy to buy me a drink. I want to smile when they.
You want to be treated
flirt.
like a lady, like a girl.
Yeah. Yes.
Have you ever been misgendered?
Yeah. I don't. While I try to present as authentically female as I possibly can, you spend a lifetime walking, talking, interacting with other people, and being corrected in society if you're not doing that in the way that your gender is presenting. And so those habits are so hard to break away from, to fall back into. And so when I go out, I have to be very conscious, or I am very conscious of how I walk, how I talk to people, how I interact, and just how I carry my body, just because I want to be as feminine as possible.
I can't remember. Do you change your voice or no?
A little bit. Yeah. Not as much. I mean, it's very deep and I can't do much about that, but my speaking pattern changes.
Well, I think you have a soft voice. I think you have a feminine voice, at least
Thank you.
The way we're talking now. I mean, you may be in that mode,
I
but
am.
yes, totally fine.
Yeah. Thank you.
So what happens? What do you do when somebody misgenders you? And I'm not talking about somebody who does it by accident. To me, it's all about intent. And what happens if they misgender you with bad intent?
So a couple of different ways I handle it. It really depends on the situation, but I never go negative, because number one, I don't want them to affect my mood and my happiness. So if they misgender me and their intentions are not bad, they're just trying to be polite and they're just confused or whatever.
Right. And you can usually tell,
mean, then I just smile and let it go.
You don't correct them in a kind of a kidding way or nice way?
No.
Okay.
No. And if they do it in a mean or destructive way, I have different ways of handling that. Yeah. I've handled it in some very fun ways. I'm pretty skinny, and I know a lot of guys end up checking out my ass when I'm walking, and they catch themselves and they're like, oh, whoa. And so when a guy who's like checking me out then misgenders me because they're caught up in their own, confusion or whatever, and they're maliciously misgender me, then, I just kind of smile and walk away. Or, I try to handle it with.
So you try to diffuse it. You try to diffuse it.
Yeah.
You don't have any quick callback or any quick way to kind of put them in their place. You just diffuse the situation, which is probably the best.
Well, I found that a lot of people are looking for a confrontation. And when they misgender you out of mean-spiritedness, then they're just looking to start a confrontation so that they can point and say, well, there's another hysterical trans person who's just freaking the fuck out just because I used the wrong pronoun. I used the wrong 3-letter word,
God
and they're
forbid,
freaking
all the
out.
Pronouns. Yeah.
It's like, like I said, it's not worth them changing my mood. And I have a long story about an interaction I had with some guys in San Francisco about a year ago.
Share that with us.
Well, I love going to San Francisco and taking like a 2 or 3 day trip, and I get a hotel and I go out and do a lot of sightseeing. Mm-hmm. So I'm out doing my thing and I'm riding the cable cars, and, I got a cute little Lululemon outfit and I'm feeling pretty. And I walk up to a bus stop and we're waiting for the cable cars. And, there's these 5 guys from Iowa, and they were obviously there for, I don't know, a wedding or something. It was a big family event, but they were all cops. You could tell just from their, how cops kind of carry their body, right?
Right.
And so they're standing at the bus stop. And so one of them, when I'm walking up, he looks to his buddies and he goes, oh, hey, we're in the big city now. You never know what you're going to see in the big city. And, and so I knew exactly what they were talking about. So I just kind of just walked by them. And then the cable car got there and we took off. And anybody who's ever ridden the cable cars in San Francisco knows that they break down all the freaking time. So we rode about 3 blocks and then everybody has to get off and you have to go find, little bus to hop you over to another place or whatever. So anyway, I keep running into these guys, right? Because we keep having to get off of the cars. We'll get off and go have lunch and we'll come back, but we just kept running into each other, and they would kind of make a little snide remark or
each time.
Each time but as the day wore on, one of them was a little bit older. Well, he was older. He was probably, I don't know, 75, 80. And, this whole day of walking was really getting to him. Plus these idiots, okay, I'll call them idiots now, but they're walking with their carry-on bags, right? You're out sightseeing in San Francisco with your carry-on bags and you're using public transportation. These guys were just lugging these bags all around. So they're exhausted by about 2 p.m. and we're waiting on another bus, right? And so I'm, all by myself. I pop right onto the bus and I get the best seat on the bus. It's like, there's no homeless around. The seat wasn't dirty. There's like all this room around the floor by me. There were no other chairs or no other seats on the bus near me. And so these 5 struggle as they're trying to get all their bags on and everything. And they're trying to carry their friend up. One guy's got 2 bags. And so they all get on and I look at the leader of the pack, right? And he's got 2 suitcases and he's just struggling. He's just beat up. And I popped up out of my seat and I go, oh, you got to take my seat. I go, look, I'm by myself. I can sit over here on the end. You need the seat. It's got all this room around the floor for your suitcases. Here's the seat. And he just looks at me and he's like, you could just see it wash over his face. Like, I'm not going to take anything from, a trans person, right?
Turned you down?
No, he said no. He goes, no, I don't need it. And I go, look, I'm going to go sit over there. I go, you can choose not to sit in that seat if you want, but I'm going to go sit over there. And so I went over and I sat and see the other open seat that I found was in front of his buddies. Right. And so, I went and sat and he ended up taking the seat and he was like,
of course he did.
Thank you. Yeah. Because he was exhausted. And so his buddies were like looking at me like, they've been making cracks at me all day and I'm still being nice to them. Right. So.
And you're being confident.
Oh yeah.
And you're stepping up and offering your seat.
Yeah.
You're not shying away from them. That's got to be driving them nuts.
Well, no, it just calmed everything down and everybody got real nice. And the thing was, the older gentleman was funny. Oh my God, he was funny. He's like, oh, I can remember back. He cracked this joke that's to this day is one of the funniest things I've ever heard was, oh, I can remember when I did that. It was a long, long, long time ago. Cause it was back between the time I invented fire and discovered the wheel.
That's
and
funny.
I lost it.
Good for him.
I just cracked up.
So what happened was they realized you were a real person.
Yes,
you were a nice person. And it's like, oh, not everybody's a freak and crazy. And yeah, that's a great interaction.
So I ended up laughing out loud. And then I turned and I smiled as, acknowledgement. That's very funny jokes, And one of them goes, you have a very pretty smile. And I was like,
oh my God,
you just said that in front of your friends. Good luck, guy.
Oh yeah. He's going to probably pay for that.
Yeah.
Probably pay for that the rest of the trip.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Thanks for sharing that. That reminds me of a bar that I went to every Friday and then it closed down and we kind of shifted to a new bar. But every Friday I go to this bar. And when I first walked in, it was a very local bar, kind of a darker place, very local establishment with local clientele. And you just got the feel that they were pretty conservative.
Right.
And so I went in there and there was a woman as part of the group that kind of brought me into the conversation, introduced me to the bartender, who was a female, who was super nice. And long story short is they became very good friends. My parents died. They gave me cards.
Wow.
They take pictures. When the bar closed, they included me in their Facebook group. So I knew where they were going on Fridays and they just became really good friends. And I'm sure before I walked in fact, I found out later, one of the gentlemen, who's actually one of the nicest ones to me, was appalled that I was in there and was not going to have it. And then ended up becoming, really good friends. And I think it's just a case of if they can just be exposed to one person who's a decent human being, and it can show them that they don't have to throw everybody in the same basket and that they can actually interact and maybe even have a friendly relationship with people in our community.
I completely
It's one of my favorite
agree.
things that's happened, actually.
No, I've had I've had a friend who says, these are teaching moments, right? A lot of times people say really insensitive things. Like I had a friend who was sitting at a bar and just a drunk woman walks up and says, what's it like to be a she-male? And my friend was, she wants to defend every transgender person.
She's going to get her feathers up. Yeah.
Yeah. So she started to get her feathers up, but a mutual friend said, dear, let's stop. Let's take a moment. This is a teachable moment. She didn't mean any harm. She just was very insensitive, and let's talk it through. Let her know that's a pretty offensive term.
Right.
Ended up having a really nice interaction with that lady. And, I've had those things happen to me all the time. Like one of my favorites is some guy in a bar asking me, how I like sex or whatever. And I'm like, I like sex a lot. He goes, no,
how do you like it? A lot?
A lot.
What did he say to that?
Well, he was
probably caught him off guard.
Yeah, I was, okay. I don't want to take your podcast to the mature rating, but I don't know.
You don't have to share it if you don't want.
Yeah. Okay. Next question.
We'll edit that out. So if you could highlight some big moments, and I think you did the one which was the makeover, right? The big reveal. Yeah. Any other big moments in your journey that stand out?
This was a little hard to put words in, but I do remember the first time on my journey, I used to have a friend who would let me come to their house and get dressed, and to pay them, I believe in friendships being equal, right? If you take gifts from somebody, you should give them gifts. So she hated to clean. So what I would do is I would go to her house and I would dress. And she gave me a safe place to dress and try on clothes and stuff. And I would clean for her, right? And
where did you meet her?
I met her through some mutual friends. So in Sacramento, we have a group called the River City Gems, and they're a group of transgender and cross-dressers that kind of come together in their community. She was dating somebody in the group at the time. And so I would go to her house and I would dress and clean. And I could remember like being really immersed. One of the first times I was really immersed in just complete feminine space, right? Mind, body, dress, everything. Like I was doing very feminine things. You
were in the zone. I
was really in the zone, really, really in the zone. And I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and it's like, oh my God, she's beautiful. And then I realized it was me. And it was like that moment just really was very, very powerful for me to,
Was it because you didn't expect when you turned around, you didn't expect to see the reflection? So, and for a second you thought it was her or somebody else, or you just happened to catch a certain angle of yourself and you're like, wow.
Okay. Everybody who knows me knows that I love my camera and I love my mirrors.
Of course.
But that was one of the first times I ever saw myself and thought, oh my God, she's pretty. Like her body looks great in that outfit. Like the smile, the hair, it was really transformative. I mean, it was very, very powerful feeling, moment. Yeah. Because I had always felt, in my dressing before was, always awkward and shameful and things didn't fit right. And
right.
I didn't understand how to buy clothes that accented my features.
It's a process of iteration that you don't just come right out of the gate and know exactly what you like to wear, what looks best on you. It's trial and error. It's talking to other dressers and genetic women. Well, my friends, genetic friends, females, have helped me a lot with creating the illusion.
Yes.
God bless Kelly.
Yes. Oh my God.
I've learned a lot from her, and not just learn specific things, but just being inspired. She's such a perfectionist.
Yeah.
And you're like, if Kelly can do it, I can do it.
Yep. Yep.
Right.
And I absolutely love and adore Kelly. I've been out with her a few times, but I'll tell you, me and her, complete opposite ends of the spectrum. Like she spends, you alluded to it in your podcast, 3 hours, 3.5
Four.
hours, getting
Four.
4 hours, getting ready. And I am like, I'm a half hour. I'm like, if I can't do it in a half hour, it ain't getting no better. I'm going.
Well, if it took me 4 hours, I don't know if I'd be doing this.
Oh God, no.
I mean, yeah, I'm about 2 hours. I can do it in an hour and a half if I have to.
Mm-hmm.
But 4 hours, boy, it might be once a month. I go out every week, once, maybe twice a week. And that's enough for me right now. It used to be 3 or 4 times a week, but I just don't have the energy for it.
Right. So,
because I'm usually drinking.
yeah.
And, it's not like you're just going to the library. You're out. Sometimes you're out late and you're having cocktails. And yeah, it's a lot, especially for a 29-year-old, like me.
Right.
It's
Right.
Takes its
I
toll.
know.
Takes its toll.
I'll let you know next year when I turn 29. If
You
that's
bitch. So what do you? Oh, go. You got another story?
Well, no. But I was gonna share a little bit of advice about how I do things.
Bring it
I
on.
think we started talking about it.
Yeah. So if somebody's in your same situation, spill some advice for them.
So my first advice is go get a storage locker. Go get a storage unit. Like you're not going to get one as great as I found, because I found the greatest storage unit ever. But
what makes it so great?
It's 10 feet by 15 feet, but its door is only 4 feet wide. And so nobody wants this space. So they rent it to me really, really cheap. And so I have it set up as just a big, big closet, right? I have 3 full racks of clothes. I got my 3 racks of shoes. I am I love bra and panty sets. And so I love matching. So I have, I don't know, a couple of dozen of those kind of hanging. I got a makeup table, some mannequins. So I think I sent you some pictures. And if you want to share those with the group, that's cool. But this is.
Okay. I'll put those in the podcast when I edit it. Yeah.
Yeah. So that storage unit is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. But, putting your clothes in suitcases and packing them all the time is not, and keeping them packed and stuffing them in the attic isn't good for them. So,
and it's no fun when you get ready. You want to go through your closet and pick out your outfit and, look at different things and hang them up. And how many times have you tried an outfit on, the same outfit that you've worn and said, I look amazing. And you put it on, a few weeks later and you're like, I hate this. I look horrible in this.
Yeah.
And you just,
Yeah, it's all
I've
the
had
time.
girlfriends do that. Wives do that. I never understood it. Now I understand it.
Yes. And I never complain about anybody taking too long to get ready, because if I'm getting ready and I can't, my eye makeup isn't going right and I got to start over, it's like, okay, there's another 10 minutes. I'm going to be 10 more minutes late. But I highly recommend a storage unit. And then what I do is I pack my clothes in outfits, in packages of outfits, the shoes and a skirt and a top and a jacket, so that I can, I planned out my outfits for the week. So I can change in a half an hour. I can go from one mode to the other.
If you already know what you're going to wear, that cuts off a lot of time right there, right?
So I just pack those little packets of clothes and they work great. And then, and another thing is I like to get out when I travel for work. And some of the tricks I've found is when you check into the hotel. So I'll check into a hotel and I'm traveling with a bunch of coworkers, right? And I'm knowing I want to go out. So what I do is I kind of go to when I check in, I tell the receptionist, I tell them I don't like elevators. I'm claustrophobic. So can I get a room by the stairwell? And so they always put you like on the second floor by the stairwell, or they'll put you on the first floor.
So you don't have to get on the elevator.
Right. And so then you can just go into your room, you can get dressed, and then you call your Uber. And when your Uber pulls up, you just run right out the back door. Because they always leave ththose doors open for smokers and stuff. So you can just jet out the back door and go to.
Yeah, I used to cringe when they would put me on like the 9th floor or the 15th floor or whatever. I'm fine now, but this is way back.
Oh yeah.
I'm fine now, but yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That works.
What other tricks of the trade?
Wow, I can't think of any at the moment.
Well, you're obviously pretty good at it.
I am. I'm going to go ahead and admit that.
Does does it give you stress? Because I don't care how perfect you are. You can always slip up or make a mistake. How much stress does that cause you, if any? Or what's that like?
I think it comes from those early wounds when I was really young that really taught me how to hide myself, right? Hide and make sure my lies were, I don't know, bulletproof.
Right.
And so, well, yeah.
You kind of have your own. Do you know what a red team is in the news business?
No.
A red team is a group of people within the news organization that when they have a story and they need to really vet it, they take all their information and they sit that red team down and go through all the resources and evidence, and they vote on whether they're going to go forward with the story or not. It's called the red team. So it sounds like maybe you have a red team in your head where you thought, well, what if this happens? What if I left this out? What would I say to that?
What is my explanation for this? Yeah.
What's your explanation for this, that, and the other?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Interesting. Just a case in point on that. Like I needed to have like those Neutrogena wipes to, wipe my makeup off before I go home.
That's what I use.
I keep those in the console of my car. Right. And what I found was those are also extremely good if you're a cyclist, if you ride a bike and you get, like a little chain oil on your leg or something like that. Like those, like you can go to the bike store and pay $10 for, 5 wipes, or you can buy a bunch of Neutrogena wipes. So that's the excuse.
Pro tip right there, people. Yeah. Pro tip.
Yeah. So I have those Neutrogena wipes in my car, and my family knows, they're like, yeah, that's because.
What's funny about the Neutrogena wipes is I've used them from day one, and the smell of them it actually takes me back to my early days because, I guess that's when it got imprinted in my brain. But even to this day, when I use those, that smell just takes me back to those early days. Not that it's not exciting now, because it's very exciting, but I don't think you ever match the first, few months, years of going out in public. The excitement and the exhilaration is almost too much. I mean, the adrenaline is almost too much, but that smell always takes me back. I love it.
And I would agree with you on that kind of, that first time that you walk into a bar by yourself, your heart racing, you reach for that door handle, 3 times before you pull it and before you can get the nerve to walk into the bar
or the hotel room
or
before I walk out of this. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All of those experiences. And I found too, that you start to crave that after a little while. Like, it's like, I need that adrenaline. I need that.
Right. I agree.
I actually had to check myself and say, no, girl, calm down. You don't need to go overboard here. You don't need to push the boundaries or push those limits.
Right.
Just be calm in the space you're in and enjoy the space you're in. But yeah,
I still to this day, when I leave here, I'll go meet my friends at the bar, and until I see them in the bar and kind of take my coat off and get comfortable, I'm a little nervous, that all the parts are in the right place, and the hair's right, and because you don't have a mirror right there, and you walk in, and you're going to get looks when you first walk in, and the bar is pretty casual. Yeah. And so I'm usually dressed a little overdressed, I'd say, when I go to these places. So I'm going to get that look when I first walk in, and it calms down.
Yeah. Let me share for the new girls out there. When you're looking for your style, you can always go classy to sexy, but you cannot go sexy to classy. So when you're working out your style, start with classy and then move towards sexy. It works really well for me.
You mean in general?
In general, if
you establish the first year or two, whatever, as sexy, and then you go conservative-ish, that doesn't work, is what you're saying.
No, I think what I'm trying to say is that if you go out buying a bunch of stuff for your wardrobe and you say, this is cute, I want to wear this, and all you're buying are bodycomb dresses and high heels, and you're really trying to just be as sexy as you can, getting out in public in the daylight,
and especially mainstream establishments.
In mainstream establishments, yes. Look at what the other women are wearing, and take your cue from them. I mean, I'm not trying to brag, but like I've got a really good style, and it starts with being classy. And you can get some very, very sexy, but very classy outfits.
Absolutely.
But you can't get like, hot pants and a tight t-shirt or something and be going to a mainstream bar,
right,
when nobody else is wearing that kind of stuff.
In other words, you can dress classy and still be sexy.
Yeah.
But if you dress too sexy, it's hard to class it up a little bit.
Yes. And you'll feel a lot more confident because you won't get, side looks. You'll get,
right.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about you. A lot of times the women will come up to me and they'll say, who does your makeup? Do you do your makeup? Or, they're talking about your outfit. And I try to dress like the girl next door.
Huh?
That's just kind of my MO. And back to the gender envy thing, that's the kind of girl that I'm attracted to.
Yeah.
But I would definitely say classy. I love that if they carry themselves, it's hard to describe. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
They carry themselves with confidence, and they're put together.
Right.
It doesn't have to be matchy, but they're put together, and they didn't just put on anything when they went out. Now, I'm not talking about the grocery store or what have you, but when they're going out for the night or to the bar even, they put themselves together with purpose, with intent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well stated. And I would even argue that when they're going to the supermarket, most of them are.
True.
It's not an accident that their stuff matches.
No. And, they like attention too. It's funny, and again, I'm not going to speak for all women, but I know enough that they do kind of want the attention, but they want it just in the right dose. They don't want it weird or creepy, and then that's, that leads into kind of when a guy hits on a girl or asks a girl out, especially at work, if she thinks he's cute, then it's a dreamy situation. If she doesn't like him or doesn't think he's cute, it's harassment. Right. So the poor guys, it's like, well, here, I'm going to roll the dice. But yeah, the women, at least the women I know, they want to be noticed and they want to be flirted with a little bit, but just enough. Right. And poor guys, they don't know sometimes what the just enough is. Right. Nobody communicates that to them.
Right. Well, no, they do get it communicated.
Well, they do. At some point they do.
Yeah. So
what does the future hold for Mia?
Well, I'm just going to continue to live my bliss. Like I said, I've got a life of living 25% as Mia. I hope to push that to about 35%. As time goes on, I can find some more ways to get out and interact in the community. I love my life where my friends, I get to see them. I get to spend time with them. Yeah. I'll just continue to get obligations and kind of refine how I get out and experience life and share my life and share my experience with people.
Do you ever wonder if you'll get tired of doing it or if circumstances will change and you won't be able to do it? Is that on your mind ever?
It is. It does get on my mind. So one of the things is I'm not very good with makeup, right? I'm blessed in that I don't need a lot of makeup, but I'm not very good at it. But one of the things is, I've got to take care of the facial hair. And so I used to wax, but that got very expensive. So now I pluck, and I've got to pluck all the time. And that becomes a lot of work and a lot of...
You pluck your facial hair?
Yeah.
Oh, how long does that take?
I invest about 3 hours, 4 hours a week. So
when you pluck, how long does that it doesn't come back the next, at least a scruff the next day?
No, it takes a little while. It takes a little while to come. So first of all, I don't have a lot of facial hair. I've always been blessed with not having a thick beard.
Me too.
Then I had a friend who was doing electrolysis. So I did a half dozen electrolysis sessions where I thinned out some of the darker and some of the heavier areas to make it a little more uniform. And so then I went to waxing, and that's good. And waxing will last for, 4 or 5 days really well. But now I'm just consistently every couple of days as it starts to grow in, I'll pluck it, and then I'll shave before I go out. So I guess I say all that to say that it's a lot of work. It allows me not to wear a lot of makeup because I don't have to cover up any 5 o'clock shadow or any of the stubble. And I don't know how long I've kept it up.
Right.
Maybe I'll just have to get better at makeup.
Well, it sounds like you go out quite a bit, so maybe you'll cut that down a little bit, and it'll run its course. I wonder the same thing, and what I would do if I can't do it anymore. Even if I wanted to, if something happened, God forbid, or you just don't have the energy to do it as much, and it doesn't haunt me, but I do think about it. I do think about it.
So let me put you on the couch then. Because this sounds to me about the same kind of stuff I would say when I was justifying purging, right? Before I would purge, I would, say it's a lot of work, it's a lot of stress, it's a lot of this, a lot of that. And then I would purge and I would get rid of everything. But, 2 or 3 weeks later, I'd be missing it.
Doesn't go away.
With 6 months later, I'd have it, same stuff or more. So I decided I'm never going to purge again. And I don't purge. And part of my problem too is now I don't get rid of anything either, right? Things that don't fit, things that I've actually worn clothes, worn them out, like worn them bare.
I know, you have your favorite stuff and over and over.
So I've got to get rid of that stuff. I've got to donate it or even just throw it away. But I can't even bring myself to do that in a lot of cases. And so I actually have to invite friends over to my storage and say, pick out some stuff. Here's a bunch of stuff that.
Yeah, I've done that.
If you want this, you can have all of this. And they end up taking bags and bags of stuff. But for me to even get rid of stuff takes a push and a pull. I mean, it's not, I know.
You always think maybe will want that one day. Maybe I'll want to wear that one day. I know we all go through that. Well, it sounds like you're aware of it. You're cognizant of it, potentially winding down, but you don't know what that looks like, and you'll cross that bridge when it comes. And that's kind of how I approach it.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I think I struggle more with the fact that I might not be beautiful much longer. That's a really scary feminine thought.
That's funny you say
looks
that.
Are going to fade.
I came out to my mom, and my mom was in her 80s at the time, and she was shocked, but then she got comfortable, and I'd go over there and visit with her every weekend, and I showed her pictures. She never met Maddie in person, but I think I said something like, I don't know how long I'll do this, Mom. And she said, she had one of the pictures and she pointed to it. She says, when you can't look like this, you won't do it. And she's partially right, although I don't look exactly like I did when I started, 2017? So 8 years ago. I don't look the same, and I'm getting older. And I think you kind of get used to that, and maybe you just change a little bit of the clothes you're wearing. So you deal with it. It's not like it's black and white. Like one day you're just like, oh, I can't make myself look good. I think it's a slow process, but to her point, she was like, when you can't look and feel cute and sexy, you probably won't do it. And she's probably right.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Well, hey, Mia, thank you so much for being open and candid. I appreciate that, and being vulnerable. And I love your confidence, and I love the way you approach life. And it just sounds like I hear a lot of what you're saying is how I feel. And I just love this part of my life. I wouldn't trade it for anything. And it sounds like you're in the same boat. So I'm very happy to hear that.
I am in the same boat. Just so much love for you and what you're doing. And letting people know that we're real people, and we have real problems. We have real history. We have real life. It's just amazing.
We're human. Go figure. We're human.
Yeah. And we also have joy. and we want to share that joy with other people. And I hope that, society lets us continue to share our experience with them.
Right.
So thank you so much for everything that you do.
You're welcome. And I will see you at the next, I guess what, TGR?
No. Oh, you're not going to Wildside?
No, I'm going to see Kelly in Nashville in April. And, I'm not going to do Wildside this year. So
okay.
Hopefully you're going to do TGR as well. No?
Yes. I'm definitely going to do TGR. Wildside was one of my first times out, and then getting to see, so many people and made so many friends that I go back every year just so I can see those people I only see once a year. Yeah. And I was going to say, you made it out to Sacramento. You came out to Sacramento, I don't know, 5 years ago. I was running through my pictures and I sent you a couple of pictures that I have of you and me, and some of those were in Sacramento. I'm like, I completely forgot that you had come out here.
I do remember that trip.
Out this way.
I visited Kelly and she, or wherever Kelly is, she rounded up the girls.
Oh my God.
And had a great party for me. And you guys all met and we had a great time. And I've got some of those pictures too. So I will look through those pictures and try and include some of those in the podcast. So
I sent a couple to you. So please do.
Great.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mia. Have a great weekend. Talk to you later.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.